Hello and welcome to the Collect Your Life episode 11 podcast. We are so thankful that you decided to join us on today, on tonight, on this beautiful Friday night. We are indeed live on Facebook. We are indeed on the live. We're here. I am wearing my Life is Collected shirt, and this is a part of our line that we have on our website. So make sure you go follow us um, on our website. Go follow us on our social media. Go follow us, of course, on all platforms. Make sure you follow our website and follow everything that we're doing. So tonight is going to be a short episode. Um, it was not going to be live, but at the last minute, I decided to make sure it was live. It will, of course, be on all the platforms on Apple Podcasts. So if you're listening to this after, thank you. Welcome to the Collect Your Life Incorporated podcast. Tonight's episode is going to be a couple of things, but we're still not going to be here for a minute, just to get a quick talk, and then we're gonna scale ourselves back. So last week we talked about forgiveness, which was like kind of a what's the word I'm looking for? It was supposed to be a bonus episode, but it wasn't really a bonus. It was just an episode that was a part of, what we do. So we were talking about forgiveness. So this week we're gonna talk about how you can collect your life with a couple of topics. The first topic is entitlement. Um, Entitlement is something, and I'll break down entitlement in different levels, in different realms, in different relationships, how entitlement may look. The main entitlement that I had to collect my life in was in my spiritual relationship with God. In my relationship with God, I had to um, really collect my life um, in thinking that I was entitled to blessings just because I was a child of God. I was entitled to all the things that are promised in the Bible. I thought that, I'm just supposed to get it. It's just supposed to happen like this. Like, God, I know you're supposed to do it. And everything that I had laid up in prayer before God, I was thinking that, um, I was entitled to, you know, this was like, I should have it. I should, have whatever I asked for. Like, I'm your child, I'm one of yours. But I had to learn, and it's like a daily learning, daily collecting of my life, that God is sovereign, of course. But I had to learn that He doesn't have to give me anything. He doesn't have to bless me with anything. He doesn't have to allow for me. And if you're watching on Facebook, please let us know that you're here in the comments. If he doesn't have to, you're not entitled. You don't. There shouldn't be a sense of entitlement with God. Like, collect your life and know and stop being spoiled, basically, and know that He doesn't have to do it. He doesn't have to bless you. He doesn't have to heal you, but He has that power. He has that availability. Hey, um, so don't think that for a second that you should be entitled to the blessings of God just because you're a child of God, or that you should be entitled, like your request, like you make this prayer request, like the Lord's gonna do it. You have to get to a point where you like, God, if it's your will. Like, and I had to really, in a couple instances of my life, had to relinquish my will and what I wanted, my desires. Yes, I made my petition known to God about a couple of different things, or different things that may have happened in life, but I had to also collect it. Yes, he doesn't have to do anything. I had to collect my life and be like, well, Lord, if this your will. And so, um, like just recently I was praying about something, and it was like the Lord got me together, and he was like, well, I don't have to do that for you. I don't have to bless you. I've let you live past, I've let you live. Like, I've sustained you. I provided for you. I've given you peace. I protected you from danger seen and unseen. I mean, just me dying on the cross for you is enough. Like, so a lot of times we get wrapped up, we get spoiled, like a spoiled brat as Christians. Like, oh, we should, or he's just going to, you know, um, he's gonna do it because he's God. And yes, he's God, he's sovereign, he's awesome, he's mighty, but he doesn't have to do it. If it's not in line in his will, it's not gonna happen. And sometimes God will allow things to happen to you in your disobedience to him. A lot of times, I've had that happen where I had to collect my life. And I'm saying this, like, as far as this entitlement, this comes to me first because, like, I was just in it this week. I was just like, Lord, I have these things before you, and I believe, but I had to make sure my prayers and everything wasn't self-centered or self-seeking. And it wasn't self-seeking, but it was still like the sense of entitlement was there. Like, I'm a child of God. I am a joint heir with Christ. And of course, you call that authority out when you're praying. You call that authority out when you're in prayer, everything like that, when you're going against spiritual warfare and all that. However, being entitled, thinking that he's gonna do it just because he's God, just because you're a child of God, is where you fall short. You still have to come down from yourself and be humble. Like, you can't think that sense of entitlement that you're just supposed to, just because you're a child of God, just because you serve, you have to get that together. Like, even today I was on a situation, I was like, well, God, like, why, and then I had to come back, I had to collect my life and say, no, I can't ask God why. I have to understand that God is going to do what God is going to do. So let me just pray for God's will. Pray for his infinite will, like his will be done, and that there be mercy, that there be provision, that there be peace, and that I have understanding with his will. And so I'm not having this sense of entitlement. And entitlement also goes with family members and friends. When you're setting boundaries with family members and friends, those are the ones, when you set those boundaries, they have that sense of entitlement. Well, she has a boundary, but it's not for me. So entitlement is not just for, your relationship with God. That's where I had to collect my life. And I'm sure some of you have too. But I've also had to collect other people's lives when I was setting boundaries. And I had to collect my own life in not, and I have to do better with boundaries. That's going to be my main thing for 2022, is to make sure that I am, when I have a boundary, I stick to it. Like, because I'll feel like, oh, well, maybe I should let that boundary go. No, I can't, because if I do, then I won't have a boundary at all. And this past December, I set some boundaries, and I was so proud of myself for sticking to it. My therapist was like, make sure that you're setting that boundary and make sure you don't go back on it. Because me, I have such a big heart. I'm such a giver, and I want, I try to give people multiple chances, and I do give people multiple chances. I continue because I understand, because I know I'm not perfect, and I'm thankful for the people who give me grace. But I have to still set a boundary and stick to the boundary. And with family and friends, those boundaries are the hardest to stay to, because you've known them for so long. And yes, they make you feel bad about it. Yes, we have a comment that says, yes, it can be hard sticking to a boundary, especially when people make you feel bad about it. Yes, and I've had people make me feel bad about boundaries that I've set. Like, I've set this boundary, and they make me feel like I'm the bad person for protecting my own peace, for protecting my own mental state, for just protecting me, protecting my heart. Like, and all these things are important to my own success and their success, because I don't want to go off on you. Like, I'm the type of person, the type of personality that I have. I can go from zero. Um, it takes a lot for people, for my buttons to be pushed. Most times, um, if people just keep picking at me about something, it takes a minute for me, for my self, for me to be ticked off. However, when I'm there, when I'm mad, I'm mad. Um, so it's like, I don't want to go off on people because they have, um, push me to relinquishing my boundary, or making me feel bad for something that I have to do for myself. And a lot of times that will happen. Like, you will have that happen. And I said all that to say, family and friends feel the most entitled when it comes to boundaries. Like, they, or people who've known you the longest, even if it's not a actual friend, it's like an associate. They feel the most entitled. Like, I'm your cousin, I'm your brother, I'm your mother, I'm your father, I'm this, I'm that. So you, owe me this. No, I don't. Like, I have to protect me. And I'm not saying um that sometimes you will have to explain, like, and sometimes people don't understand that when you say no, that's a whole complete sentence. Like, I'm an English teacher. No, it's a complete sentence. No, period. It's a complete sentence. And people have to realize that, especially with people's boundaries, because you never know what could push that person. You never know what that person is going through mentally, or just going through physically, or just going through, like, for me, a lot of things it can be a lot on me to be constantly in communication with some people. Um, just because I am considered the strong friend, and just because it's like I am pulled in different directions. Like, I am pulled here, um, pulled there. I'm pulled there. People are asking me to pray for them here. They're asking me to pray here, pray here, pray here, pray here, pray here, pray here. Be here, be here, be there, be there, be there, be there. Do this, do this, do that. And, like, a lot of times I don't have somebody to lean on, because most times I'm the one. Like, I have my crew, like my people, but sometimes they're going through stuff, and I don't want to boggle my best friends down with stuff, because they're going through stuff themselves, or they're intercessors themselves. So as an intercessor, naturally, being a teacher, in addition to the other people I'm connected to who are interceding for, and my own self, it can be a lot. So sometimes pulling away from people, not pulling away like never talking to them again, but pulling away, setting a boundary like, okay, I'm setting the time. I'm not going to talk to nobody about none of that. I'm not going to text anybody back at 8 o'clock. Not saying that that's my boundary, but sometimes you have to set those times. Or if this person texts me, I'll text them tomorrow. Like, if it's after a certain time. Even if it's you didn't already talk to them too long. You have to do that for you. And again, friends and family members, if they're really truly your friend, um, they will eventually, they might be hurt at first, because some people will be hurt, but they will be all right, because guess what? You have to protect your peace. You have to protect you, and you have to protect them. Because what if you give them the incorrect advice, or incorrect, you ain't even praying, you have praying or whatever. Because anytime somebody asks me to pray, I'm not like some people just say, I'm praying for you, and they never do. Like, I legitimately go on my knees and go in prayer for that person. And it like really drains you sometimes, a lot of times. So, and especially with the kids that I deal with, a lot of my kids are hurting and dealing with stuff. I had a student this week that was dealing with a death, and it resonated with me because I'm still grieving my dad and going through grief counseling. However, I had to be there for her because she was having a panic attack. And so that is like the life that that I'm living in, like, or that a lot of us are living as intercessors, or as being the strong friend, or being the one that everyone thinks she has it together. And yes, I may have it together on the outside. The Lord helps through the Lord, because it ain't nobody but God. I don't take credit for however I may look, or I may look strong, or may do that. But sometimes we have to be the ones who set the most boundaries, because we have so much coming in on us, or just people, period. But again, that sense of entitlement from family and friends can be something. So again, just to recap, we have the entitlement with God. You cannot have entitlement with God. God is God. He's sovereign. He's good. He's awesome. He's going to do what he's going to do. Like, you can, the best thing to do, and I had to learn, like, and I'm still learning, because even like I said, this past week, I was praying for something, and I was like, the Lord got me together. Like, I don't have to do that. Even though he was going to do it, it was clear as day, I don't have to do that for you. And I was shocked. It was like, okay, God, I got you, God. So you have to relinquish your own will. That's in every aspect of your life. Um, I had to stop thinking that I was entitled, and I know that the promises. It's like a difference between the promises and what God has promised you, and entitlement. So that's what I had to really make sure I knew the difference of. Like, this is what God promised me. So that's on lock. That's definite. This entitlement, though, let me get that together. Let me calm myself down, bring myself down. I'm up here. I need to bring myself down here and humble thyself. Because either God gonna humble you, or life gonna do it. So it's best to be humble yourself, so that you don't have to deal with it. The other thing I believe I was going to mention, or go into, we talked about entitlement. We talked about making sure people have entitlement when you're setting boundaries with friends and family, and also making sure that you understand to totally trust and depend in and on God. Like, in your relationship, and this is again where I had to collect my own life. I had, and I'm still collecting. Like the Lord is still he's, as I go stronger and deeper in a relationship, like it's like I'm digging into, we're going deeper into this relationship. We're going deeper and deeper and deeper. As I'm continuing to go deeper and getting stronger and closer to God, I am having to, again, this all ties in, relinquish my will for God's will. I'm having to also just totally trust. Like, it's like I have blindfolds on, and I know I'm just holding God's hand, and he just taking me where he wants to take me. And that is exactly, and I'm not gonna say it's easy. Like, a lot of times people think that being a Christian, you're supposed to have this easy, great life. I thought it was easier out there when I wasn't a Christian, and when I wasn't a believer, when I wasn't following God's will. This is the hardest. This is a hard walk. If it were easy, everyone would be a Christian, or everyone would be a believer, or everyone would be a follower of Christ. So it is not easy at all. So a lot of us have to understand and realize that this may be a lot of times we're getting refined, we're getting molded and made. Like when you're refining something, or when you're making something, when they're making a diamond, it goes through a lot. When you're making something, like you're cooking something, it goes through heat compression. It goes through a lot of stuff. So it's not going to be gumdrops and rainbows. It's going to be a difficult walk. But if you continue to walk step by step, trusting, like I'm having to trust God in everything, no matter what I think should be, or no matter what the circumstances looks like. I have to completely trust that he's gonna do it, and that he's going to be there for me. So again, make sure that you don't have entitlement with God. I promise, the one I'm talking to myself. Like I had to get myself to collect my life. So that's why I have my life is collected, because I had to like really collect my life in that aspect, and I'm still collecting. Like I'm not perfect. When I'm coming on here as a host, I'm coming on here first telling you how, like, this is to me first. Like all the stuff that I'm saying is to me first. Everything. So I also appreciate you guys for listening. We have a flyer here which I'm going to share on Facebook, on our Facebook Live. We have our Zoom vision board party, 7 p.m. on Friday, January 28th. That's in 2 weeks. You want to make sure you RSVP to Collect Your Life. www.collectyourlifeincorporated, can't get my words out.com, and if you register, you have a chance to win a gift from us. So we would definitely appreciate you for joining our Zoom vision board party. You want to bring your materials, and make sure you're ready to have a good time. We're going to enjoy each other, enjoy ourselves, as we are creating our vision board for 2022. Also, on next podcast, we have in this alive, and the next podcast was going to be just not going to be live, but I have a special guest. So next week, not next week, in 2 weeks, on Saturday, January 29th, we're going to be live on Facebook at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. It'll be available on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Anchor, and YouTube after the fact. And we have a special guest. Ryan Zuber is going to be with us, a nutritionist, a certified nutritionist. He's going to be talking about, foods, nutrition, all things weight loss, everything that that everyone is focused on really heavily in the beginning of the year. So let's get a professional. We got a professional joining us as we are talking about and trying to collect our lives in our bodies in every way. So make sure you tune in, and that is a new time just because we're doing our Zoom call for our vision board. That's going to be Saturday, January 29th at 1 p.m. Or you can catch, the replay on Facebook and catch it on Apple, Spotify, Anchor, and YouTube. We greatly appreciate you guys for joining us tonight, and may you be blessed and have a great weekend.